Good evening. Ubuntu channel is right here and bringing to you Meeting Your Leaders. And tonight we are actually talking about, the reign in government for actually 1 year. And before we get to that, let me actually welcome my co-host right here, Sunny Lance Banda. I've actually, exchanged them tonight. Lance, how are you doing?
I'm all right, Chaza. Good evening to you. Good evening to the listeners and the viewers. And how are you?
I'm doing pretty fine. Which one is your middle name?
Are we doing this on air?
Yes, of course we are.
Well, you get to choose which one between Lance and Sunny you want to put on the middle, as long as Banda is the Sunny.
Great. All right, tonight we are actually hosting the UPND National Youth Executive Committee member, whose name is Francis Mwamba Kope, to actually help us, look at 1 year's reign of the UPND in the ruling as at now. Good evening, Mr. Kope.
Good evening. How are you, CJ? It's good to be here. And good evening, Lance, Sunny, Banda.
Great. It was very difficult, in the past to draw a thin line between the ruling party and government. But this time around, we want to see if this is the case for, the UPND as a ruling party and government. Mr. Kope, please give us a highlight. This is the beginning. Is there any difference per se in the operations between the ruling party and the government?
Well, the party is voted into government by the people of Zambia through, the ballot. The president of a particular party and members of parliament, council, chairmen and mayors and councillors are voted into government. However, as this party is ushered into government, it then, through the president, select a working team, which is picked into the executive. Now, the party is a sponsoring entity for the party that forms, or the people that forms government, and at that particular point, the government becomes prominent, which is led by the Republican president, who can be a president of a political party. In this instance, the Republican president, Hakainde Hichilema, is the president of the UPND. And after being given the mandate, he is now the president of the Republic of Zambia, which is now a bigger picture, because Zambia is bigger than all of us. Now, in separating the two, the few people who are selected to now be in charge of the affairs of this particular country, to work in government, these now works for the people of Zambia as the party, which also has a structure. There's a president there, but in a ruling party now, we have the national chairman, the SG, who is the CEO of the party, and all these wings, that is the women chairman, chairlady, as well as the youth chairman, the chairman of the election, and all these other organs, who are the NMCs, and including the NEC, now looks at the affairs of the party, which is not detached from the people, because the party has a role to continue, propagating the principles, which is the manifesto of the party, and being an oversight in a number of issues that is when it comes to the activities to do with the party, as well as having an interaction between the people and you continue to campaign and inform the people of what you're doing. So the party has a separate mandate, while the government also has a particular mandate. And it is some of the people who are in the party, who are drawn from the party, that are picked to work in government. For example, the ministers. And many other positions, including the DCs and things. While others are drawn from the professional scope, where we look at those that are qualified to do certain works, be it they are coming from the party or not, but we look at the bigger picture to deliver to the people of Zambia. So basically, there is a distinction in terms of how we operate and deliver our mandate, both as a ruling party, as a party, and as government. And as government, which is being headed by people who are drawn from the ruling party. We have a mandate, we have a manifesto. For example, if you picked some of the issues from when during inauguration, today, obviously, that was I remember the inauguration day. There were a number of points. So there are a number of issues that were the president brought out. The issue of employment of teachers, nurses, creating an enabling environment for business, for entrepreneurs to thrive, and creating an enabling environment for foreign direct investment, as well as creating synergies between us, the citizens of this Republic of Zambia, as well as foreigners who might come with capital and the expertise in a number of issues. So there were a number of pronouncements or some of the issues that were touched on that gives us a guide on where we are coming from and where we are going, and where the party and the president wants what kind of a country that we endeavor to have, and what kind of a people we endeavor to in terms of to be interacting with, what kind of a culture we endeavor to have as a people, a working culture, not a culture of party after party. So the president has continued to bring out what is espoused in our constitution, what he pledged during the nomination, as in his inaugural speech, as well as the principles that we stand for. So in a nutshell, the party has its mandate to continue talking to the people, continue bringing a lot of people to continue supporting the UPND. Well, government has also a mandate to deliver some of the promises, some of the pledges and the aspirations that are in our manifesto, and what we stand for as UPND.
All right. The campaign promises, that were there before UPND got into government were quite many, and one of them is actually the involvement of the youths. You being a youth representative or a youth leader, how much representation do we have from the youths in government right now?
Well, I think there is a fair share of representation, as youths, we are not going to use a backdoor, for example, to have a situation where you put in a law that will, compel youth participation and things like that. I think youths can still participate. We have youthful ministers who have been given huge responsibility, big portfolios, such as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, to mention but a few, Honorable Kakubo, very youthful, and is the one who is representing the president in a number of engagement, high-level engagement. So when we talk about youth representation, it's how we position ourselves. What is it that we are contributing? Are we the kind of youths that would sit back and claim, a fair share, or are we the kind of youths that will stand and be counted and participate and do something for the good of our country? So I think there's youth participation. The youths are there. They've been given a fair share. We might need to see more. We might need to use a different means so that we can also have a youth chunk, because sometimes we might not be very much competitive. But I think politics have changed. You have seen that the president, our Republican president, and our party president has put a very high bar, a very high standard in terms of our engagement, the way we transact, the way we do our politics, the way we present ourselves as leaders. So the youth also needs to come to the party. If there are certain youths that would feel we are not represented, I think that would be a sorry sight. For example, just a quick one. All the jobs that have been created are youthful jobs. Talk of 30,000 teachers. Talk of 11,000 health workers. Talk of talk of those that will be employed in the army, in the tourism sector, and things like that. Even all these empowerments that are coming through the CEC, they are all targeting the youth. So are the youth participating? Of course they are. Are we being counted? It's up to how I position myself. It's up to what is it that I endeavor to do. If I want to engage myself into construction, into politics, into a particular business, it's how I position myself. Otherwise, what the UPND government is doing is, apart from creating jobs, which could be limited or unlimitless, because job creation, as long as there's an enabling environment, you can create opportunities for other youths, you can create opportunities for the elderly, you can create opportunities through innovation, through agriculture, investment, trade, and things like that. Through using a number of our raw materials that we have in our country, we can still create opportunities. Even a divide of looking up to government, but I think government has done a fair share of opportunities for the young ones, and then what is remaining is now to take this opportunity and be counted, to take up this mantle and not wait to say, where is the opportunity for the youths, but to grab these opportunities and utilize them. Otherwise, from the look of things, all the many opportunities that we have seen, the job creation and that government so far has created, they're mainly targeting the youths. But now, when you look at certain opportunities like CDF, CDF has a blend of everyone. The teenagers, the young boys and girls who are in school, the youthful, populace, as well as those that are not the youths, those that are above the age. Now, what do I mean by that? For example, when we look at the 25.7 million kwacha that has been allocated to every constituency, and the president emphasized that the projects that are in, for example, Kanyama, should be handled by people in Kanyama. And who are these people in Kanyama? It's you and I. If you live in Kanyama, if you live in Kawate, if you live in Katuba, or any other place, it is you to participate. How do you participate? Somebody was just giving a hint that you see, one of the one of the colleagues from I think CDF committee or a member of parliament was concerned that youths are not participating. There is money seated in constituencies, and all you need is to register your company, or perhaps register a cooperative, come together, 20, 30 of you. You register a cooperative, you identify a project which has been approved by the Ward Development Committee, and then participate. Now, if, for example, in a cooperative where 30 people come together, make a cooperative to maybe build structures, and this cooperative is in a particular ward. Now, if each ward had a cooperative, just one ward had one cooperative, it will mean that we have, mind you, we have about 1,264 wards in our country. So out of the 1,264 wards in our country, if each ward would have a cooperative to participate in the CDF, then will mean it will mean that we will have 1,264 cooperatives. Now, per cooperative, if we have 30 youths in a cooperative, okay, 30 youth in each cooperative, then we are talking about 37,000 youths being engaged in a project in each ward. Okay, so if Kawata, or maybe let me take Shilanga, has 10 wards, then we are talking about 300 youths, because it's 30 cooperatives. It's 10 cooperatives in the 10 wards of Chilanga, and each cooperative has 30 people. Then we're talking about 300 people who will be engaged in an activity. Then each ward identifies, because that is how it is. Each ward should identify their own project. They can identify maybe 4 or 5 projects, and then they are elevated to the Ward Development Committee, which approves, and then it goes to Constituency Development Committee. After it goes to the Constituency Development Committee, yes.
Mr. Kope, let me cut you short there. I've actually gotten you right that seemingly the youths are on their own, even shunning away from some of the programs that may benefit them. And I would actually even believe that, most of the youths that are unemployed, when they hear that there's, some employment, as it were, the time they were recruiting, for census, the enumerators and so on and so forth, we had multitudes of youths that, turned up, because it is believed that employment is the only key of survival. They don't believe in projects. So now, as a youth, as a national committee, what do you do to ensure that you inculcate, this culture in the youth, so that they get to participate, wherever need be?
Well, it's tough. We have a culture in Zambia, our education system that we have inherited, and our colleagues who have been there for some years, they have not, done much in terms of readdressing the quality and type of education that we have. We have been taught to read, to memorize, to pass an exam. After that, you find employment. So there is a culture already. So we have a culture issue, at the moment. But there is also a lot of things that we need to do to kind of change the narrative. Here we are now. We have a president who has never worked in government. Okay, he has worked in private sector, and he's been an entrepreneur, investment and doing this and that. I think we can emulate, from the life of the president. If you want to get rich, you don't need to find a job. Okay, I've worked before. I've worked, in several, institutions, including with the, your colleague there. Lance, I think I was his supervisor when he was joining us. Worked for, perhaps if I was doing my trade, the first trade that I did, I would have had 17, 18 years experience by now. But what could I have gained? I've seen colleagues who have been working, and it's hand to mouth. It's difficult to be successful. through work. But I'll tell you one thing. I've done business within 2 years. Within 2 years, from 2020, when I was in my, in my low, at my lowest, I didn't have money. I had rentals problems. My son had just passed grade 10, and he was he had gone to grade 10. I needed to pay for him. My other boy was also, so I had so many issues, and I didn't have a job. I then started doing one or two things, just small business and things like that. Today, I can tell you that I managed to put my son in school. I managed to deal with the rentals, and I don't even rent anymore. Okay, within the 2 years that I did my business, but the other years, there's 15 years that I've been working for different companies and things like that. As a marketer, as a journalist, as a name it, as a technician, as a mechanic. I've done one or two trades and things. It never meant anything. So I think we need to change our culture. So the dialogue, the conversation between you and I as youths is that we need now to change our dialogue. We need to change our mindset from looking at let me work, go to school, finish up my grade 12, I go to college, have my diploma or degree, then I start looking for a job. I've seen a lot of colleagues who, they have a degree and now they're looking for a job. Okay, but we can't see small opportunities that are around us. Now that's a cultural issue, but as a government, we can't change people overnight. That's why the president and his government, they're creating all these job opportunities. Okay, but as a youth, I would say, colleagues, let's start looking at, apart from getting a job. Every time I ask somebody, I was coming from, I was in Mansa 2 days ago, and today I was on the Copper Belt. Every time I have a conversation with people that I meet, they want to go, especially youths. I want to go do teaching. I want to go do nursing. I want to go. It's like those days when marketing was just came, and then the other time there was accounts. Everyone wants to be an accountant and things like that. So everyone wants to go to school to work for someone. Our kind of education has conditioned us for that. But there are those that want to go to school to work and look for money, for capital, so they can do business. But still, the entry point is still work. And then people would say, no, I started my business with the 1 kwacha or what, it would be motivational talk. That would not be practical. And we don't want to be, we don't want to be unpractical. We want to be practical as much as possible. That's why the president looked at how you can now have a situation where there is some money that has come in your locality. CDF. I was just tabulating some numbers, how we can benefit out of this. And tell you what, things have become so simple nowadays. Just a few minutes ago, I was discussing with a colleague. He tells me for the first time, there's just so many jobs that are coming through in terms of tendering and things like that, which was never the case, because those days there were a lot of tenders which were being given direct to people who are very incompetent, but they are part of a particular clique. They'll be given tenders. 49 million kwacha, a road of, a 21 kilometer, 21 k's gravel from 15 miles up down, going down to 9 miles. 21 kilometers is given 49 million and then disappears. Sometimes they would get such contract and then sell them off. Sometimes they would get that contract backdoor, but nowadays it is so open. Even when you are bidding for a contract, EGP will show who is charging what and who deserves it. If there is a problem, there's a technical problem, you're knocked out. If you know what to do, you know what to do. Then and some of the most of the contracts that we have seen coming through, they're so open, such that you have the technical know-how, you get it. There are no two ways about it. Now, anyone can be anything because the environment has been enabled for everyone to thrive. You know, a wealthy nation is one whose citizens are wealthy or have opportunities or can walk into a particular door and get such opportunities. So I was talking about you talked of employment and the issue of survival of the fittest through job creation. I mean through jobs. When there was a census issue, we saw thousands and thousands of youths lining up to get a job as enumerators and things. That shows you the gap, the hunger that we had created because there was never such an advertisement of jobs. Okay, in as much as I was talking about the change of mindset, we can also not have everyone as entrepreneurs. We need people to work in clinics. We need people to work as teachers. We need people to work as engineers. We need people to work as plumbers. Okay, we need people to work as mortuary attendants. Not everyone will be a millionaire. Not everyone will be a what, but not everyone will be a businessman. We also need all these services. But the problem was that such opportunities were very rare. You cannot see an advert of teachers being recruited. If you saw that advert, perhaps what they wanted to show is maybe if they're employing 3,000, of course the numbers were very minimal. There's 1,000, 3,000. If they're employing 3,000, they will make sure that they get all their relatives from every clan, those that are qualified and those that are not qualified, and put them in the system and put them on payroll, and then they'll pick 20, 40 add. If it's time for promotion, they will ensure that they promote their own, and those that deserve such, maybe there will be just 2 or 3. If it's time for opportunities such as CEC and things like that, they will ensure that they give all the musicians that are supporting them every cadre on social media, and they start flashing money around and things like that. And then those that do not have such connection, it will be zero. So there is need for youth and all colleagues to realize that now this regime is looking at the interest of the people. Remember, I had said that there's a party and the government. Government is looking at everyone's interest. The party, we might be looking at how can we entice this one? How can we bring this person to our party and things like that. But as government, there is a responsibility to create an enabling environment, to create opportunities, to create for job creation and wealthy creation. So UPND is not only looking at job creation, we are also looking at wealthy creation. As I talked about, the issues of you cannot be rich through just working as a Malukura. But if you are working and you're also doing something, you have backyard, garden, even by nyumba arrange, you can still shanga to my veg and things like that. Then you are creating wealth. And
all
even
right, maybe finish your thought. Finish your thought.
Yes. So I was saying that even as we now start looking at weighing between opportunities and business and work, we also need to look at what is it that government has put in place. For example, CDF is not only for project and things like that. There's an element of education. There's an element of bursary and all those things. But there is also an element where, for example, I plant some tomatoes. You know what I mean? I plant some tomatoes, and by the time the tomatoes were ripe, the prices were so bad, such that I was just giving out and things like that. But the point is, through CDF, in our community, we can still apply for good storehouses, for places where we can put such products, such as tomatoes. When there's too much tomatoes, instead of distorting the price, you just store them somewhere so that the price is constant. Because what we have now is that recently tomatoes were very cheap. In 2 weeks, tomatoes will be very expensive, beyond expensive. So we'll be buying maybe 1 or 2, 5 kwacha, when we were buying 20, 35 kwacha. But now, if we put up facilities through CDF, through CEEC, we put up facilities that will store such kind of product when there's too much tomatoes, when there's too much mangoes, when there's too much avocados and things like that, so that we maintain. If we say tomato ni 1 kwacha imos, or 1 kwacha ivi, that price should just be constant, so that issues to do with inflation and things like that, there's a practical approach to it, because we know that when there's too much maize, it will not go to waste because there are good storage. When there is too much tomatoes, it will not go to waste because they are good storage. And then that kind of supply, the constant supply, will now give us a constant pricing to such product. And then we can now even start processing, because we have places that we can keep these excess produce that we have.
Just hold it there. I think you have gone so deep into diversification and the like. We'll spare that one for another moment. Since we are together with Lance, I don't want him to go to the end just listening. I will invite him also to actually ask 2-3 questions, and we'll also need to invite the people listening or viewing to also get to participate. Lance, let me now throw it over to you. I can see you are also itching to ask probably 2 or 3 questions. Over to you, Lance.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Chaza. And of course, my first question, Mr. Kope, let me take you back to, obviously, the party and away from governance. So maybe government can come in one way or the other. In the previous regime, what we saw in government functions was that the hierarchy would be the president, the vice president, then the next will be the secretary general of the political party that is in power. Even when given obviously remarks at a government function, the secretary general of a party will be recognized. So 2 things into 1. Zambians voted for change, or they voted to have a better administration in power. Has that continued also as a trend? The UPND party meddles into government business or affairs, or maybe the change that the Zambian people voted for can easily be seen. Is the party meddling with government business?
So, do you want a long answer or a short answer? A short answer is that it's not meant. The party is not meddling in with government affairs.
Okay.
But if you have seen, if you have seen any examples or anything, we'll be glad to have a conversation. However, you cannot totally separate the party and the government. What I mean, you cannot totally separate. Okay. Because when things go through, you would say, for example, if the kwacha is too high, you would say UPND government yakangiwa. I mean dollar yakwera maningi, UPND government yakangiwa. You will not say Stumbeko, the minister has failed. You say UPND government has failed. So practically, what the Zambian people voted for is change, and change not to have lawlessness in things that requires order and where you do not have jurisdiction. For example, the party members cannot go around and start giving plots, Mukawata, Punjanji, or whether it's in Chingola and things like that. Party members do not have the mandate of the SG or the national youth chairman, or the national chairman, Mr. And Mr. Martin, they do not have the mandate to give plots to anyone. People of Zambia voted for change. They wanted sanity. We were going in the opposite direction. Everything, economically, there was no leadership. The dollar was 24 percent. You know that. During the time of the humble past president and all those things. So, what the people voted for is change. What the people voted for is opportunities. What the people voted for is fairness. What the people voted for is a leader that will look into their plight, a leader that looks beyond political, affiliation, that looks at people as Zambians, that looks beyond, regional affiliation or regional, issues. But we're looking at how can we improve Zambia and make it a better place.
Well,
so the long and short.
Okay, thank you so much. Since you wanted examples, let me give one example, which I think the Economic Front President, Winter Kabimba State Council, wrote a letter to Barry, the ZAF commander, as well as also to President Hakainde Hichilema, making claims that the SG of the UPND party, Emenda, used the ZAF helicopter to transport himself from Lusaka to where there was a function, which is something that the Zambian people in the previous regime did not like, and hence the reason why they voted it out, because it was the party misusing government resources. And if President Winter Kabimba has made that claim, which Colonel Barry has responded to, and Kabimba promises to take him to court because his response is somehow in affirmation that actually Emenda used the ZAF chopper using government resources.
Well, if Bali responded, I don't think I should also respond. However, you see, there is only one institution that flies helicopters, that in our country. Even when we had during campaigns and things like that, where did we used to book our helicopters from? So I think it is only logical that there is only one source of helicopters. So the point could be, did money get into the coffers of ZAF or not, perhaps? Or what was the arrangement? Because there's only one institution that provides such services to everyone, opposition and the rule. That is number one. Number two, there are some times when you are in an entourage with the president and things like that, and you jump into the chopper with the president. Journalists have used such services, and we cannot say that they were squandering resources and things like that. We have had a fleet of journalists using one helicopter and things like that. So perhaps, in as much as I would not want to dwell much on that, I think the other one is that there is this institution that gives such services. I think what we need to get at is to also open the aviation system. You have done, transmission and all those things, and what you are there on a different type of transmission, instead of dealing with the within daycare and things like that. It's because there is no much investment by individuals and things like that in such sectors, and perhaps maybe we're not aspiring for more. We need to have a situation where I can get to a place or to town or wherever, and just get into an office and book an helicopter, and there's clearance fast. You know what I mean? But we haven't reached that level, and there are just few avenues, few or companies that deals with such. Perhaps in we have seen in Livingston and other safari places. And I remember when we wanted to film some Discovery Channel, documentary at some point, hiring an helicopter from these other places other than ZAF. Wow, the prices is like buying a new helicopter. You'd be shocked. So, and trying to do a modification, say, no, we'll put a camera here, we'll mount it. Wow. It was something else. So we couldn't even shoot that particular episode. I think this is some now it could be 10 years. It was in 2012, I think. So we couldn't even shoot that episode by Discovery Channel because the costs were so huge. And then for now, us, we're not in politics by then and all those things, to go and hire from ZAF, it was a bit tricky again at that particular time, because these colleagues to come and use, because they're foreigners, you see, so to come and use a military, equipment, it's going to be, there were all these small issues that could have come in. So the point is that maybe we need to invest more in such businesses, so that it can be easy for anyone to hire and fly in an helicopter, than having a situation where it is all centralized on ZAF.
All right. So thank you so much for that. Quickly, let's get to dive into how the party is dealing with its members, especially overzealous members that may think because it's the party that is in power, they would like to engage themselves in behavior that is that would say cadreism behavior, or maybe members that would want to engage themselves into things that the president has said against, just because they are in power. So you as UPND, and especially you are coming from a youth wing, youths mostly are the ones that are used as vices for violence, as vices for causing mayhem, as vices also for just causing confusion. As a party, in this 1 year that you have been in power, how are you dealing with these individuals to make sure that the party does not find itself in ways which will not please the Zambian people?
First of all, I'll tell you one thing. The UPND youths throughout the country, the genuine UPND youths respect the president. Number one, they respect the president, and they respect their leaders. Whatsoever is pronounced, they follow. We also have people out there, for example, even just in institutions, especially those that were put in institutions by using the back door and things like that. You'd see their culture, the way they sabotage, the way they just disrespect, the way they just do things to bring disrepute to the ruling party and things like that. It's because these are people who do not feel anything, first of all, of what we pass through as a party. They don't feel anything about the relationship between the youth and the president. They can say anything. They can mistreat people because they do not have the they do not pass through the challenges that a genuine member of the UPND passed through. We fought for this party. We suffered for this party. we were denied opportunities for this party, and we can't have a situation where we start misbehaving so that the party lose popularity. However, there's possibility that there could be some pockets, even of those that are filtered into the party, that are doing certain vices that is decampaigning the party, and it's up to us to identify such. That's why the party has to be vigilant. For example, in the markets, when we leave the market and leave them open, other political parties enters and they start, for example, collecting money, from unsuspecting traders and things like that, and masquerading as UPND. And if we do not have members in such places, leaders in such places, such situation would go unnoticed. I had followed up an issue in Kamwala market. Somebody who is on the run. He was recently PF, and then he came back immediately after the victory and things that the election. He wore a red T-shirt and started harassing people, and he became so notorious. You know what I mean? Very notorious. And it just took people to report, such an individual. Otherwise, there could be some people who could be taking advantage because they have not had an interaction. They had not had an understanding of what the president stands for. The president has said it. You're on your own. If you break the law, you're on your own. But what has happened, or what is happening sometimes, is that even when we do not break the law, for cases that happen, for example, there are some cases in Wapula that happened, during election time, and our vehicle, a Mahindra, was bent and all those things. Then we see our chairman in Wapula, Nelson Kalengwe. I was with him a night before his arrest. I mean, before his conviction. He's convicted. Okay, a national youth, a provincial chairman, convicted. Not because there is something that he did wrong, but because there is omission of certain rights, and because the system, some of the colleagues are still against, our people. And what do? He goes in. He was sentenced to 2 years. That is a leader, a provincial leader in Wapula province for something of an incident that happened during election. And you know how violent in Wapula province, how violent our colleagues were. I'll tell you, I visited Wapula province at some point. I wanted to make some small meetings with Doreen Mwamba and things like that. I wanted to conduct my defection and things like that. So as they were coming, I wanted to prepare the ground and things. It was so bad, such that I never had a meeting. I had organized a number of small meetings. I couldn't make any meeting because cadres could come and chase me. But even when I succeeded at some places, policemen would call me and intimidate me. I still have some voice notes. I not just shared and things like that. They would intimidate you and things. It was tense in our province. We were victims when we were in opposition. Our leaders are victims even after victory. It's a pity. It's a pity that we could have such kind of a situation, that our own leaders are being convicted for no crime at all. But that tells you that, for example, the government, there's serious separation of power. If the judiciary decided, what could the executive do? They're serious. That shows you that there is no meddling in the affairs of these other arms of government. And that shows you that now you have a leader, now you have a government that is looking at improving your life, as opposed to searching and scrounging for trouble. So there are people who could be misbehaving. There are others who have been unfairly, arrested and jailed, and there are those that are changing, jerseys, chinja timu kolewe, because it's been their lifestyle, and they come with that lifestyle. But our duty as leaders is to reform those that are joining us and to give them the guidelines, because our president has always told us that we need to uphold the rule of law, because this is a time that we will see constitutionalism being affected in our day-to-day life.
All right, Mr. Kope, thank you so much. Let me get to bring you to my last question for this evening. With what one would term as the unpopular decisions that the UPND has taken, do you think the UPND is still popular? By unpopular decisions that we are talking about, obviously the removal of booths in town or in different areas. Recently, we saw Chingola Municipal Council obviously demolishing houses for people that illegally built on Kasompe airstrip, leaving out people that built in Forest 27, which is a water reserve. With all these decisions that the UPND-led government has made, do you think the UPND as a party, you as a national youth leader, do you think that the UPND is still popular?
The UPND is very popular. It's a party that has come up with a number of progressive policies and implemented a number of progressive policies. There are some of the decisions that could have been made under the watch of the UPND. Whether it's a collective decision that has been made, or it's a particular municipal that has made that decision. But having that, we are the one who are in charge of the affairs of this country. We need to take responsibility of every decision. So you see, when you want to Shanta Chipute, boil, sometimes Chimababa, it depends. The pain is such that you would even curse the person who is helping you to remove that thing from your body. You would slap them, you would curse them, but at the end of the day, after that pinnacle pain, then you would have been relieved, because if you don't press it very well, it will move or shift to another place, and it will give you more problems again. Give you a situation where you're not comfortable, and you'll still be struggling every time. So there will be tough decisions that will be made, tough decisions that will affect people. will affect us. There are tough decisions that have been made, and there will be tough decisions. However, I think the most important thing is to look at the bigger picture, to look at the country that we endeavor to see 10, 20 years down the line. And even the issue of Forest 27 is a hot issue. It's some issue that we need to, everyone needs to take keen interest. If it is to petition, there are some legal issues and all those things, but if it is to petition as individuals and as a country, we still need to get there, because that is a very important place. It's a research area and things like that. So it's something that is of still of interest to all well-meaning Zambians, and we need to approach it in a particular way. But if we compare the two, one is very important for the preservation of resources such as water. The other one, of course, very important. It was on a land that did not belong to those that built on it. It's an airstrip, and then they got that land illegally. So there was somebody who was giving them those land, cadres without documentation and things. The other one, it was something that you might term as smooth criminals. So they know what to do. By the time you start making those decisions, they would have all the documentation. And if you start, you go into action, it will be you who will be in the wrong, and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, we need to balance. All these areas are very important. I've seen another issue where somebody built got a title deed on a road reserve, you see, and today, such has been there's been action that has been taken on that particular property. So I think action should be taken to those that have stepped beyond where they're supposed to step. That is building on a land that is not supposed to be built on. Yesterday, I received a call from a pastor who was telling me that their land is their church could be affected because they built on a place that is reserved for other things and things like that. So it's a catch-22. There are a number of illegalities that we need to deal with. However, we also need to consider the social impact of certain decisions that we make. So we take responsibility as UPND, and we hope that there will be more sensitization. We hope that next we will have, even when it comes to boats and things like that, there was need for more sensitization. There's the need for more preparation, more engagement, in as much as we are told that there were certain engagement, but maybe others were not very much engaged to that level. So there is need for dialogue among parties, and even as government, the party, and the people, we need to continue conversing so that even when we have a decision, it should be a fair kind of situation. Lance, don't build a plot, or don't build a house on somebody's plot. You can't build on Chaza's place and expect to go scot-free. I think Chaza will also not feel good. He's a lawyer. Sometimes he might allow you to build because he has all the documentation. And then afterwards, he goes to court and then you lose everything. So many of us, there are such instances. And then, but the councils should not only be proactive when it comes to demolition. There is planning authority, there is inspection authority, the inspection department, and all those. We need to have a situation where even when somebody is erecting a wall fence, check Is this plan approved and things like that? So the council should also play its role, because if you allow people to build and then you know that it will not come to the blame will not come to you, even in as much as it will still go back to the UPND. You have mentioned the UPND. Is it the UPND that went to Gumura those houses? It's not. Okay, it's the council, it's the local authority. And what we want to do is decentralization. That is, we are promoting decentralization. That's why even the CDF and all these things, all the money, it has gone into the into your localities. So your government is promoting decentralization, is promoting the rule of law, is promoting orderliness and hard work, is creating opportunities. But when things goes bad, even when you have been given authority to deal with certain things, it will still go back to UPND. It will still go back to Japan. So what we're saying is that the local authorities should also be proactive and ensure that people are advised before they go to roof level by roofing and roofing. So it's not fair and it's not correct to allow people to build. But as you know, during the past regime, there was a lot of chaos. 1, 2, 3, 4 apa nipapo tie manga ngasuza manga pazapwera muntu wina ngambinaza manga wina ngamba foundation wina ngu concrete, the other one is putting roof. So there was that disorderliness, and people were in a hurry to build so that akasiriza hapa angene mu nyumba. It doesn't matter whether that land is here. Ngasuza manga fast wina akakabwera aza kupokanira land, so let's build fast. That was how these guys transacted. Now we are in a mess, and somebody has to clean up this particular mess. It's a pity that people lost their homes, and we pray that such instances should not be happening going forward. The council should have authority, and they should advise people. If you see a foundation, just at foundation, ask who is building here, who was commissioned, where are the where is the plan? Because my plan for foundation, so they can have a little bit of work, especially my inspectors, go around the compounds and find people who are building without plans, and what then we will make money out of it, as opposed to allowing people to build and then palasi demolish, so that you can tarnish the name of the president. I think that is very wrong. The president is working hard to improve the lives of the people and not to make people cry. But Chaza, your mic is
on mute.
I don't know if it was by voice command, that I went on mute, but thank you so much, At this point in time, I'll invite, comments, if we do have some comments, and if we do have anyone that would like to join us just before we conclude. Director, quickly, if there are messages, bring them on. And if there's anyone before we conclude, please bring them on. There's something coming from Enoch there. He's saying rule of law at work is a bitter pill. All right, Soldier Boo, thank you so much. We do appreciate that for your message. Any other message there? Florence Jasper is actually saying, watching from Serenge. Great to know you are there with us. We do appreciate Florence there. Aaron Sakala is saying, I'm watching from Chipata, city of Eastern Province. Continue working for people of Zambia, not your family. Okay, there's a question mark. I thought you'd say it's a question. It appears to be, just a statement there. Mark Hillary is saying, watching you from Lusaka's Midwest. Thank you so much, Mark. We do appreciate that. Namwinga Precious Mwanza saying, watching from Chililabombwe. Namwinga, we greatly appreciate. and we do appreciate your company as we proceed and progress on the program. Any other message there? It appears probably that was the end. We appreciate all those that have participated. Now, in a nutshell, I would like to find out from you, Mr. Kope, in terms of coexistence, the party and government, compared to the previous regime, what makes you different as a party in terms of cadreism and so on and so forth? What makes you different?
Number one, we have a cadre. By a cadre, I mean a collective, group of people who are in the UPND who respect their leaders. Once a leader speaks, we listen. These others never used to, comply. We have a president who said, no cadreism, don't harass anyone, and there was peace. Because you know what happened during the 2011 elections after a particular party won, how they harassed people, how they destroyed property and all those things. They explain it, and we can check everywhere on social media and things like that. The news there. We are different because we are upholding. We are law-abiding citizens. We are not wearing military, regarding moving up and down with big boots, to intimidate people. No one is collecting money in the bus stop or in markets. The council is collecting such, collections. And we have a situation where council now has money. Talk of Lusaka City Council, how much they are collecting from intercity, city market and other places. Such collections, which they were collecting about maybe 20% of what they are collecting now. So, and there is no chipante arrangement. There is nothing like a cadre will go into somebody's office and say, "Itenda mpero." You have to be orderly. You have to be orderly. If you have to bid, you're a citizen. Whether you're UPND or whatever, you're a citizen. Okay, do your things correctly. Submit your documentation, and we'll look into the merits and the demerits of what you've submitted, and then you'll be awarded if you qualify. Okay. Now, in those days, cadres, even teachers were cadres. You know what I mean? ZESCO and everyone. But at the moment, people who are employed do not even have a connection whatsoever. Those days it was you have to be connected to a cadre for you to find employment. But at the moment, people do not even have a connection whatsoever. They're just, the only connection they have is the Green National Registration that shows that they're Zambian and their qualification for stuff. So we are totally different. We have concentrated on interacting with the people. Our National Youth Chairman, and the party chairman, the SG, is interacting with the people, having dialogue with the people. Our other colleagues were intimidating the people, and they thought that through intimidation they would still, win and things like that. So the new government has gotten rid of mediocrity, and the party which is in government is looking at, wow, this is good. That's why I said, it will be bringing hate on the president if you allow people to build, then you destroy their houses or you demolish their houses after they have built and they are living in those particular houses. Then what are you planning? What are you trying to do? You're trying to bring a particular discourse it's like it's an arranged thing where you know that you have the authority in this particular locality. How can we now, after all these scores in the past 1 year, how can we now put a dent on these particular scores? But I think they will not manage to put such dents, because we now have a regime that separates the two: Kadaism and good governance.
Francis Kombe, we do greatly appreciate. Kope, almost said, actually said Kombe. I don't know where this name came from. Probably it was influenced by Lance. I don't even remember this name. Mr. Francis Kope, we do appreciate, for your time, and it's just unfortunate that time is ahead of us, and there's a lot more, and I feel like we were just, about to get into detail, but time is not allowing. We hope you shall be available even next time to actually discuss, the likes of the topic we had today, and even other topics. Thank you so much for actually coming to the program.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate for inviting us. All we are saying is that all those that are in the position of authority, let us do things to unite this country and to bring development to this country, as opposed to bring doubts and hate towards the president. Whatsoever you do, especially if you are in authority, especially those that are in a decentralized arrangement, institution that you can make your own decision. Let's ensure that we continue working to unite and at the end of the day improve our economy, as well as improve each other's lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and we do appreciate our viewers for actually being with us, and we do apologize that we failed to bring in live participants on the program due to a technicality. Lance, thank you so much. You've been good as usual. Listeners and viewers, we do appreciate on meeting your leaders. Catch us even next time. Till then, we are saying God bless you all.